Welcome to the first ever playoff edition on the gridiron of the Different Sports Podcast Show. As always, I'm going to start out this episode, week 11, it's hard to believe, with my picks. First, high school postseason picks. During the regular season, I went 82-18, picked 82% of my games right, perfect 10-0 last week to close out the regular season, just like the Southern Columbia Tigers have done for the 7th straight year. This week, I'm going to pick 12 games rather than 10. Class 4A playoffs. Kind of a sad scenario with the records. I mean, not very quality teams this year, but it is what it is. Shikellami's actually opted to not play in the playoffs, so Votech is in by default. They'll travel to Jersey Shore. Again, the Rams shouldn't even be in the playoffs, so I'm going to take Jersey Shore in that one. Midwest at Selinsgrove. This will be the first playoff game in Mustang history. Midwest just started their program. I'm taking Selinsgrove in that one. Class AAA, Warrior Run at Danville. Ironmen don't have a run game, but they will pass their way by. Danville's going to win that one. Shamokin at Loyalsock. Unfortunate seeding for the Indians, especially with Loyalsock's quarterback back in action. I'm going with the Lancers in that one. Athens at Montoursville. Montoursville's really been the surprise team this year, along with Shamokin, of how they rebounded from their struggles last year. Luckily, they're in AAA, so I'm going with Montoursville. And Lewisburg at Central. This could be interesting with Lewisburg getting more healthy, but I think the Blue Jays are better, so I'm taking Central Columbia in that one. That was the AAA playoff field. Class A, South Williamsport at Canton. Bottom line is the Mounties struggle to pass the football. Canton will win that one. Sarah at Muncie. I think Muncie really wants to have a rematch with Canton, who they lost to in the regular season, so I'm taking Muncie in that one. To Class AA, our feature class, Troy at Wellsboro. The Hornets will get into the semis this year. They're not going to make it past that, but you'll hear that next week with the home game, so I'm taking Wellsboro over Troy. Bloomsburg at North Penn Mansfield. I'm going with the upset in this one, the road team, the Bloomsburg Panthers. And Towanda at Mount Carmel. The Red Tornadoes have the second best defense in all of District 4, so Mount Carmel will win that one pretty easily. Lime Mountain at Southern Columbia. Not going to say anything other than Southern will win that in Mercy Rule fashion. Okay, so on to my college games. 4-1 last week. I lost on the Texas-Oklahoma State game by a field goal. 28-17 so far. First game, Georgia at Kentucky. The way Kentucky's playing, you would think this is one of their basketball teams. It's almost like John Calipari's team on the gridiron. But I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs in that one. Next one, filming this right now is Stone Hollenbach. So I have to go with an Alabama at LSU, the biggest matchup of the college football season. It's going to be tough in Baton Rouge. However, Alabama's just playing dynamite this year. Roll Tide in that one. Third game, Rutgers at Wisconsin. I think you can make the case that the Badgers have been the most disappointing team in all of college football this year. However, I think they'll win at home against Rutgers. Next one, my Oregon Ducks have struggled the last couple weeks. Certainly made me mad. UCLA goes to Oregon this week, and the big thing in that one is Chip Kelly comes back to coach the Oregon Ducks. And wait till you see the Oregon uniforms this week. They're going with the Jumpman uniforms, all black, everything. So Oregon's going to look better, and they're going to play better. The Ducks will win that one. Final one, Penn State at Michigan. Hate to break it to you, you Nittany Lions fans, but in order for Penn State to have any sort of chance, Trace McSorley's got to play like a Heisman quarterback candidate should. He may still play that way. Even with that, Michigan's defense is just too good. The Wolverines will win that one. NFL went 5-0 last week, 29-11 overall. The one game that I was sweating out was the Packers-Rams game. Thank you, Ty Montgomery, for fumbling that kickoff. Now the poor guy isn't even on the team anymore. First game, Jets at my Dolphins. Dolphins desperately need a win to stay in playoff hunt in terms of wild card. They're not going to win the division with the Patriots in it, but I'm going to take the Dolphins over the Jets. Detroit at Minnesota. This is potentially a matchup that could decide the division. There's two sporadic defenses in play. Vikings are better overall. I'm going with the Vikings. Tampa Bay at Carolina. Now that I know that the Bucs have made the change to Fitzmagic back at quarterback, you know who their quarterback is. However, Carolina, there's just too much inconsistency on the line for Tampa Bay, so the Panthers will win that one. Steelers at Ravens. This Pittsburgh-Baltimore matchup's been arguably the most hated rivalry in terms of teams against teams in all of football, any level, over the last decade. Steelers, I'm thinking, are going to win that one on the road. Last one, arguably the two best teams in the league, definitely the two best in my opinion in the NFC. Two teams with the longest winning streak in the NFL currently. The LA Rams travel to New Orleans, and I think the Rams will stay undefeated. So, that was my picks. Next segment, before we interview the football players, we are going to talk to Ethan Knoble and Haley Scopoletti, two Southern Columbia cross-country runners that are going to be running their final meet as seniors this weekend.
Okay, Ethan, what has the thought been like knowing that Saturday's your final high school cross-country race in a career that's been unprecedented in terms of Southern Columbia male runners?
To start, I think it's going to be emotional, you know. I think I'm going to be a little emotional just because this is my last race cross-country wise in black and gold probably. So I'm going to be emotional, but in the same sense I'm also going to use it as drive, this being my last race, to push myself to basically give it all out and finish that with hopefully the best race of my career, really.
And going off of that, talk about career. You're not only the first ever individual district champion in Southern boys running history, but you've done it 2 years in a row now. What does that mean to you? Obviously winning 2 gold medals, but more so than that, knowing all the training you've put in over the years.
It feels good. It feels good. It feels good to, you know, have my names in the history books, I guess. But it feels good that I was able to do it twice. That it wasn't just a junior thing, you know. It wasn't just a fluke. That I was able to come back the next year and do it again, and it was reassuring knowing my senior year that I'm still at where I was, and it really feels good, you know, based on how much time I put in, how many hours during the summer, you know, all the extra stuff that I do. It really feels good to have that success.
And obviously individually you're going, but you've been with a lot of guys for the last 4 years. Obviously running a lot of days, sometimes in the rain, sometimes in the scorching heat. How has that been like to kind of bond as like a cross-country, basically a running family, and then hanging out with the guys over the years?
Yeah, I mean, family is the best way to put it. We really are a family. You know, you really get to know someone when you're going on a long hour or so run. So we truly are a family, and it was emotional the last few days of practice, knowing, you know, that we were gonna be done, and but it's been a good ride. I'm looking forward to seeing what that family, so some of the freshmen, sophomore, what they can do in a few years, and I'll look to hopefully come back in a few years and either help out or watch.
Okay, 2 final questions. One, you already talked about it. Do you have any goal in terms of where you want to finish or plan on what your race is Saturday? Obviously, you have the district success now. You want to, I'm sure, go out as high as you can in the state level.
For sure. I've had a goal this is going to be the 4th year of going down there getting a medal, and in cross country the first 3 years I've come short of it. So for sure the goal is to be top 25, which is medaling down there. But in my mind I want to be top 10. I really want to go down there and get that medal as low as it can go.
And finally, not only is it your last cross country race as a Southern Columbia Tiger, it's your coach's, head coach Lanny Connor, after so many years, his last race as the head coach for Southern Columbia in cross country. What has his leadership meant to you?
It's meant the world to me. I mean, Lanny's a great guy, and he's had an amazing career, and just the fact that this is going to be his last race as well just really means a lot, and I think it's going to really help me to that day to drive me more. He's been an amazing mentor. I mean, I spent a lot of time with him, and it's the whole thing is it's going to be emotional. But I think that I'm going to use it as drive, and hopefully we'll both go out strong together.
Haley, it's hard to believe it's been 4 years since you guys won a District 4 team title, the first ever in Southern Columbia history. When you girls were freshmen, you were leaders. You obviously had other girls as well, upperclassmen, that helped. But to win that District 4 team title in a sport that a lot of people think's individual, what was that like?
It was like a very big bonding experience, because usually on the starting line we're just like giggling and laughing and all this, and then like going to states by myself, it was just like I didn't know anyone on the starting line. I'm used to having like all my girls with me, and so like just going as that team, it really connected us since we were freshmen on, and they're like my family now, so it's good.
And on top of that, you mentioned it going to states as an individual. Not only was Ethan a four-time state qualifier, but you also are a four-time state qualifier. Two people in the same class to be the first female, and Ethan obviously the first male to ever be a four-time state qualifier. Literally every year you've been in high school, you're a state qualifier. What does that mean to you?
I'm very happy. I was so nervous the week leading up to districts. Like, it's all I wanted was to go to states again. Like, I did it every year, like narrowly, but I made it. And so I was just so happy. That whole race, it was like my PR for the season, because I just wanted it so badly. So I'm just relieved to have made it again. Okay,
what is your, obviously just to make it and being a senior, you want to have fun and go out on top. Do you have any specific goal or strategy heading Saturday's race?
I mainly just want to have fun, because like my goal was districts, so I'm just happy to be at states, but I would prefer to get like a 22, like time-wise, because it would be cutting 1:30 off from foundations, which is the last time we ran at the states course. So hopefully that goes well. Just keep passing people.
I'm going to actually throw an extra question in here. Being that running is, I know runners have sayings for it. Basically, other sports' punishment is your sport. What is the most grueling thing about not just running, but running long distances, and what's the most satisfying thing?
Well, that's a hard question. The most grueling thing I would have to say is like just being out there for a long time. Like usually you're just running by yourself, you're in your head. Like if you're not listening to music, you're just constantly thinking about like how bad it is usually. So it's more like mental, that you have to stay like strong that you're running and not just want to quit and like start walking, because you have a long way to go. And then the most satisfying thing is once it's over, like you can just be, you know that you did it yourself. Like you didn't have any help. It was just you running that race. Like you did that. So it was just like a sense of self-accomplishment, I would say, is the best thing about it.
Okay, obviously you still have assistant coaches that are planning on being here. Maybe one of them taking over, and Coach Deal, Coach Dell, Coach Paul, but the man that's been in charge for so many years, a retired teacher from Southern Columbia, Coach Connor, has decided to go out. This is his final year. He's going to retire from being the cross-country coach. How meaningful is it to be able to run your last race along with Ethan, knowing that it's the last race that Coach Connor is going to coach, and what has he meant to your success?
I'm very happy Coach Connor stayed for all 4 years of our like high school career, but like the fact that he's leaving, it doesn't affect us as much. It affects the people who are like still here. Like the whole vibe is going to be different. Like Coach Connor, he just like, he cared about all of us. He united all of us. He's like a big inspiration, because he loves cross country so much. Like he drives from Berwick every day to come to practice to like help us get better. So it's just like, this is his last time going to states with the team. And that's like a lot of pressure, because I just want to do well for him. Like he deserves to have like a good, successful last states.
Okay, now it's time to interview some of these gridiron starters for the Tigers. Again, finished unbelievably a 7th consecutive regular season undefeated. They have not lost a regular season game since 2011. So these guys haven't experienced the loss at Southern Columbia in their careers. With me, Wade Kerstetter, sophomore, Seth Pletcher, senior, and Jacob Herr, a junior. So we have a mixture of years, but 3 guys that are contributors on the varsity this season. I'm going to start with the oldest guy in the crew, Seth. How do you think the offensive line has played so far this year? And you kind of have 2 experiences with it, because the first half of the season you couldn't play, so you got to see it from the sidelines, and then playing the last 5 or 6 weeks. How do you feel that the offensive line has played this season?
I think really well. I think as good as any unit in Pennsylvania. I noticed like the beginning of the season, it was frustrating, especially games like Mount Carmel, where maybe for a while there you're struggling to get the offense going. Yeah. It's frustrating to be on the sideline, watch that, thinking, I could be contributing right now. But being back, I'm just so glad, so blessed to be here. I'm just, ready to get rolling with the playoffs, my first, serious playoff push. And I'm ready. I think our offensive line is ready to peak this week and as we continue, and I think it'll be something special. Good.
Good to hear. Jake Herr, what do you think is the main thing that the offensive line, keeping on that subject, needs to improve on heading into the playoffs? Obviously, you're going to be facing tougher competition as the season goes on.
I think we have to stay on our blocks a lot longer and not let people go up and down the line and get to the backers in the backfield. That's really what we need to work on mostly.
Okay, and obviously you guys are going to have a couple weeks. You're going to be favored the next couple weeks, so you really want to work on, obviously, critiquing those basics. Okay, Wade, you've been kind of the renaissance man in terms of positions this year. You've started, again, filming this as Stone. Obviously, you were a tight end to start the season. When Stone went down with his hand injury, a lot of shifts were made. You then switched to defense, and now, last week with Nate Crowell's injury, you're back on defense starting. How does it feel starting now on the defensive side after having a couple of games under your belt starting?
It's a lot less stressful because I have all the experience now. I feel a lot more comfortable playing. I don't know.
And with that move to inside, how do you think Max has handled the move to outside?
I think he did it fine. He played it all last season, and I think he's just as better than what he has been. So.
Okay, Seth. Obviously, you kind of mentioned it already. Came from Mifflinburg. What is the biggest difference of playing at Southern Columbia? And I'm not just talking about Mifflinburg. You can talk about other teams you played against. You know how other programs operate. What's the biggest difference of being a Southern Columbia Tiger compared to anywhere else?
The biggest things I noticed here, like when I first moved here back in the summer, was the difference in like work ethic, and just like the winning culture. Like everybody around here is working so hard in the summer and preseason all the time, and everybody here, they've been winning. They want to keep winning. There's such a desire like that didn't exist in Mifflinburg. Continues to not exist in Mifflinburg, and that's just like even back when I wasn't playing. Like just being around that atmosphere is just so much better.
Okay, Jake. Obviously, as an offensive lineman, as much as the strength and size helps you, what is the key to blocking?
Desire. I know Coach Roth always said that at practice, that you have to have the will to block. That's what it mostly comes down to. If you want to stay on them, you have to have that desire to stay on that defensive line.
And with that, you guys obviously, on top of Coach Roth, have a great set of assistant coaches. What are some of those? Talk about the offensive line, how they've helped you guys kind of come together. Obviously, every year is different, but this year you had to replace 2 key starters from last year, getting that gel together from the beginning.
Really just motivating us in individuals where we go off and do like line work, just trying to get everybody to work as a team.
Okay. Wade, now I'm going to knock on everything, not knock on the trophies, but last year you obviously suffered a pretty significant injury early on. Take the listeners through what happened last year and how tough has it been to make the comeback, and how has that motivated you as well?
Yeah, obviously it sucked getting injured that early, especially with how long I was out. But I mean, everyone told me it was only my freshman year, so I wasn't worried about it at all. It didn't really mean as much as it would have. And the motivation was a lot. I mean, I wanted to get back, and I actually cut it shorter than what I was supposed to be out for. But I was always motivated to get back a lot stronger this year, and I think I did that.
Yes, you certainly has shown. Okay, so that's the interview section. Before we get into asking these guys questions, we're going to get into, as we do each week, our Talk Walk segment. And this week, I'm going to talk about, again, we've talked about things from all over the country, all over the world, really, but I'm going to actually keep it local for this one. First thing I'm going to go with is the PHAC Conference, okay? Division I champion. It's kind of been a controversy. Shamokin thought they were a co-champion with Jersey Shore. However, Jersey Shore beat them in the regular season 34-13. The Heartland Conference states, if at the conclusion of the conference schedule a tie exists for the division champion, head-to-head criteria will be used to determine the champion. So therefore, Jersey Shore was your Division I champion. Division II has 6 teams, and 3 of the teams are actually champions. So half the conference is champions, which it is what it is. Because Danville, Montoursville, and Loyalsock are all 5-1. Loyalsock beat Danville in week 2. Montoursville beat Loyalsock in week 5. And Danville then beat Montoursville in week 7. Heartland Conference states, if multiple team ties should exist, head-to-head criteria can't determine the champion, then multiple teams will be declared. So 3 of the 6 teams in Division II are tri-champions. Division III, Southern Columbia, 5-0. Only undefeated team in the entire Heartland Conference, so that makes it easy. For those people that are mad about the tri-champs, co-champs, not getting a championship, here's the bottom line. If you win all the games like Southern Columbia did, there's no discussion. You're the Heartland Conference champion. So don't let criteria, whether it's from a conference or district, determine it. Win them all. Second thing, Cal Holiday, who's not here, got to bring this up. He becomes the 3rd Tiger Junior in the junior class to get a major Division I college offer. He got it from the same school that Julian Fleming got his first offer from, that being the Michigan Wolverines. And Coach Jim Harbaugh was actually here last week at Southern Columbia during his Wolverines bye week, so I'm sure that had some play into it. For the head coach to come to a school so small like Southern Columbia is a big deal from a major conference. Wolverines are currently ranked 5th in the country, and we're also the same school that offered Julian, as I mentioned, as a freshman. So Julian's first scholarship offer was from Michigan. He's gotten them from all over the country now, Alabama, LSU, USC, pretty much anywhere he wants to go. Third one, Gage Garcia has been offered a full ride by Oklahoma for wrestling and has many other interested parties, including Nebraska. So a lot of good things happening in the junior class at Southern Columbia. Obviously, you guys know about the sophomore success, the emergence of Gavin Garcia on the freshman level, Stone breaking records as the quarterback in the senior class, but this junior class is certainly a special one at Southern Columbia. So, next up, we're going to see how smart these 3 are, or I should say, how good they are at knowing NFL Super Bowl history. Our trivia section this week. Since we're in the playoffs, we're going to talk championships because championships are on the horizon. NFL championship, as many of you, hopefully all of you know, is the Super Bowl. Now, Stone is filming this for us right now. Most of the time, the quarterbacks get the attention and win the Super Bowl MVPs. However, I'm staying away from quarterbacks in this one. I'm going to go through and I'm going to ask you guys a Super Bowl. I'm going to tell you information about it. You got to tell me who won the Super Bowl MVP. I'm going to give you one final warning. A quarterback is not on this list, okay? Back in Super Bowl V, which none of us were obviously alive for, Baltimore beat Dallas 16-13. This linebacker had 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery in a losing effort. Over the past nearly 5 decades, he remains as the only Super Bowl MVP on a losing team. Who was this Cowboy linebacker? Okay, so that's number 1. I feel like I'm on Stump the Schwab here. All right. If you don't know, somebody just make something up funny, okay? Super Bowl VIII. My Miami Dolphins beat the Minnesota Vikings 24-7. This Miami Dolphin Hall of Fame running back, or fullback I should say, had 145 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for Don Shula's Dolphins. Who was this Dolphin fullback? You having some pencil issues?
Yeah.
if you want to get one out of my front top thing. Okay, so who is that dolphin? In the front zipper. Up higher. You got it. Yep. Okay, so that was Super Bowl 8. Wait for Wade to... Wait. No.
Where is it?
Bring the book bag over here. Bring the book bag over here. Thought I explained it to you. Okay, so the top one would be here. Does this one work, buddy? Yes, sir. All right. So that was Dolphins running back. Number 1 was the Cowboy linebacker, won it in a losing effort. Number 2 was Super Bowl 8 Dolphins Hall of Fame fullback that won it. Super Bowl 9, the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Minnesota Vikings 16-6. This Steeler rushed for 158 yards and a touchdown. Who was he? The Steelers beat the Vikings. This was Super Bowl 9. Who was the running back? Only a year later, in Super Bowl 10, the Steelers beat the Cowboys 21-17. This Hall of Fame Steeler caught what was at the time a Super Bowl record of 161 yards on just 4 catches. Who was the receiver that won that MVP award? Okay? That was number 4, right? 5th one. Super Bowl 11. The Oakland Raiders beat the Minnesota Vikings 32-14. This Hall of Fame receiver had 4 key receptions on meaningful plays for the Raiders in the victory. Going to Super Bowl 13. Los Angeles beat Washington pretty convincingly. This Hall of Fame running back rushed for nearly 200 yards and had 2 touchdowns for the Rams. Who was he?
Which Super Bowl?
That was Super Bowl 18.
Against who?
It was against Washington. LA versus Washington. Okay? Next one. Super Bowl 23. The 49ers beat the Bengals in a close 20-16 contest. This Hall of Famer scored a touchdown in the win, arguably the greatest receiver in NFL history, and at the time, which is still holding up to today, was the Super Bowl record for the most yards ever receiving. Next one, Super Bowl 30. Cowboys beat the Steelers 27-17. This Cowboy intercepted 2 passes in the win. The quarterback he went against for the Steelers, you see it in an end zone view. It's an iconic image when this guy returns an interception in Super Bowl 30. Okay? Next one, Super Bowl 31. The Green Bay Packers beat the New England Patriots 35-21. Very rare. The lone special teamer to win this award. He had a 99-yard kick return for the Packers. And as a hint, you can see him Saturdays on College Game Day. Went to Michigan.
Desmond Howard.
Okay? Basically gave it to you, I feel. Jake's like, why don't you stick to hunting questions? Okay? Next one, Super Bowl 37. John Gruden's Tampa Bay Raiders Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat his former Oakland Raiders 48-21. This defensive back had 2 first-half interceptions. His initials are DJ. Who was it?
Derek.
His last name is in the song, I'm sorry, miss. I am for real.
Jackson.
What are you laughing at? You don't know it or laughing at my sucky singing skills? Okay, so Super Bowl 11. Or no, I'm sorry, question 11. Super Bowl 39. The Patriots beat the Eagles 24-21. This man was Tom Brady's favorite target, catching 11 passes for 133 yards. Who was he?
I don't know that one.
39. So a little over a decade ago. Okay? Next one. Steelers beat the Seahawks 21-10 in Super Bowl 40. This man, who's going to be a Hall of Famer in a short time, known as one of the best blocking receivers in NFL history, had 123 yards receiving, and he scored a touchdown on a trick play. Who was he? Next one's another Super Bowl victory for the Steelers. Super Bowl 43. The Steelers beat the Cardinals 27-23. In one of the most exciting Super Bowls of all time, this man caught the game-winning score in a play that many people didn't think was possible. Right after Larry Fitzgerald thought he won the game on a touchdown reception of his own. Okay. Taking us to Super Bowl 48, when the Seattle Seahawks throttled Denver. The defense just dominated. They beat the Broncos 43-8. In this dominant win, this linebacker for the Seahawks had a pick 6 and had a lot of tackles. Okay?
Thomas, I don't know.
Final one. Super Bowl 50. In Peyton Manning's last game ever, the Broncos beat the Panthers 24-10. This defender for the Broncos provided the defense with the lift they needed to win the championship. Who was this Bronco defender? Okay? Are we good? All right, so those choices you don't know, if you want to make the viewers laugh, pick something funky whenever I say. If I tell you you get it correct, just put a +1 next to your spot, okay? Pretty neat backdrop, Stone. I think we're going to use this more often. Southern Columbia, not even all Southern Columbia's football hardware, but this is enough to cover some entire districts in terms of state success. Okay, Super Bowl 5. Only defender to win it in a losing effort was Chuck Howley of the Dallas Cowboys.
I said Bob Lilly.
So Chuck Howley. Super Bowl 8, Miami Dolphin running back that won it is Larry Zonka.
Easy.
Man, who's he?
Easy. No, I said easy.
Oh, I thought you said, who's he? I'm like, you better say that. I actually met him. He was doing a ad campaign in Hamburg at Cabela's. Super Bowl 9, this Steeler running back, Franco Harris.
Easy.
Next one, Super Bowl 10. This Steelers beat the Cowboys.
Lynn Swann.
Receiver was Lynn Swann.
Easy.
Okay? Fifth one, and then we're going to take a little break to see the score. Super Bowl 11, Raiders over the Vikings, Fred Biletnikoff.
Easy.
Okay? Fred Biletnikoff. What's our scores after the first 5? Jake's got 2.
I had 3.
Seth has 3. And 2 for Jake. Or I'm sorry, Wade. Next one. This Los Angeles running back that ran for nearly 200 yards was Marcus Allen.
Oh, I was thinking of the Rams, yeah.
Next one, this San Fran receiver obviously had to be Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Dallas D-back beating the Steelers with 2 interceptions was Larry Brown.
I knew it. Yeah, I said Dion. I knew it was him, though.
Green Bay return man with the 99-yard kick return for a touchdown, Desmond Howard.
Easy.
And number 10, the receiver that was Tom Brady's favorite target, 11 receptions, was Deion Branch in the win over the Eagles. Okay, so that's 10. Where are we at now, fellas? Wade, how many do you have? 4. Seth?
4.
4?
2.
2 still. Okay, so Jake's got to make a comeback. We have a tie right now at the top of our leaderboard. Final 5. Actually, was that Final 4, I guess, right? That was 11.
No,
Matt.
that was 10. We have 11 total. We have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dexter Jackson.
Oh, okay. Thank you for Dexter Jackson was the man that was the Buccaneers. This was the 10th one. Buccaneers defensive back. They had the 2 interceptions in the Bucs win over the Raiders. Eddie, you get that? Okay, so we're on to question 11. Steelers receiver over the Seahawks was Hines Ward.
Easy.
That would be question 12.
What was the answer for 11? Was
Deion Branch. Yep, Deion Branch was that receiver for the Patriots. Sorry about that. Hines Ward was the Steelers, so that was 12, right?
Yep.
13. The receiver in that one over the Cardinals was Santonio Holmes. Santonio Holmes.
Easy.
Seahawks, big win over the Broncos. Linebacker was, he had to pick 6, Malcolm Smith. I'm guessing some people probably went with Bobby Wagner, right?
Yeah.
It's a key member of that team, but Malcolm Smith was actually the one that got the Super Bowl MVP.
I said Earl
and
Thomas.
finally, in Super Bowl 50, Peyton Manning's final game. Who was that linebacker?
Von Miller.
Von Miller is correct. So, I'm going to start with the youngest guy here. How many did you get right, Wade?
6.
6. Second.
5.
5 with Jake. Seth.
6.
6.
Ooh.
So, we have a
Uh-oh.
tie. I'm going to have to ask a tiebreaker question right now. Who is currently on pace to set the receptions record in the NFL right now if he keeps up the pace he's at? Currently, at the halfway point of the season, he just tied Calvin Johnson for an NFL record for most consecutive games with 100 yards receiving. Now, in terms of receptions, who is on a record-setting pace? I am going to start with the oldest this time and work my way down. Seth, who is your answer?
Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen? Adam Thielen?
I didn't even try.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on to tiebreaker question number 2. Adam Thielen was correct. All right? Next tiebreaker question. You ready for this?
Yeah.
What college, and it's a big matchup, did Leonard Fournette attend? LSU. Tiebreaker question number 3. Wow, coming off my head with this one. I know Stone will like this one. What is the nickname of a surprising team out of the Big Ten West this year, Northwestern?
Nickname for them.
So like Southern Columbia Tigers, Alabama Crimson Tide. What is Northwestern? For tiebreaker question number 3. Northwestern. Wildcats. Huskies. We have a winner. Stone, do you want to announce who won?
I believe Seth won.
Seth won. It's the Northwestern Wildcats. So, the old man in the crew, Seth Fletcher, is your trivia champion. Don't forget, fans, tune in to the Black Diamond Sports Network. We will cover all of Southern Columbia's playoff action in what seems to be another return trip to Hershey. And as always, I'll put it on Facebook, PAFootballNews.com. You can check out my article on each Southern game. It'll be up Saturday, late morning, early afternoon. Thank you, and as we can't promise, however, chances are high, see you next week for Week 12 of the High School Football Different Sports Podcast Show.